guys, welcome back to the channel. Right now we're jumping back into the Fiero world, and guys, all my Fiero fans out there, I've got a new product from upholstery. Got it in probably about a week or two ago, maybe closer to 2 weeks. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, so this is my first opportunity to unbox it, and I'm going to show you guys exactly what it is. Supposedly this is the answer to one of the biggest problems with the interior of our cars. So let's open it up and see what we get. Those of you who are Fiero owners know that it's been about 40 years since the last interior parts were created for the car. And a lot of them have not fared very well over these 40 years, as they have a tendency to warp the vinyl on the interiors. So RW Upholstery has come up with an entirely new product, and we're going to review it here so that you guys can see if it's worth the effort to jump into. And here we go. We've got his card here in the box. Nice card featuring his car. It looks like an 88 GTT top, just like mine. Except in the metallic red, whereas mine is just a bright red. The owner's name is Russ Warmuth, and he creates a whole bunch of really cool interior parts for the car. Upholstery, all sorts of stuff. I've seen some of his work, and so far I've been very impressed with a lot of what I've seen. And this is an entirely new product that he just came up with. And we're going to take a look at it now and see if it will resolve one of the major issues on the Fiero interiors. Let's unwrap it here and take a really good look at it. Oh, so far I am very pleased with what I'm seeing. Alright guys, here we have it. A full 3D printed shifter surround for the Fiero. This is 3D printed by Russ, and as I'm looking at it, it looks really good. He also covers it in a dark gray upholstery, which is very similar to what's in the car. And from what I'm looking at, it looks like to be almost an exact perfect match for the original. So we're going to take it out to the car and install it and see how well this looks. And we're taking a look. We're just taking a look at what might be. See a little bit of a difference here. This is probably due to the 3D printing process. There is a little bit of an edge here underneath the covering, and one on this side, which I'm going to guess is probably from the 3D printing process. Not really that big of a deal, as that really won't be seen, as what you'll be looking at is primarily this area of the part itself. And this area looks excellent. It's got the rounded corners, just like the original, so that you won't have the trim plate sticking up and out of it. It's cut just like the original. This is going to go around all your switch gear. This is going to be where your ashtrays are going to sit. It's got the rounded edges here. Looks like the correct rounded edges on the front and on the rear. So far it's looking really good. And it looks like a really high quality, I'm going to guess that this is vinyl that he's got on there. It's a really good feeling vinyl. Feels almost like leather. Looks almost like leather too. Actually looks quite a bit better than the factory part. And it's got a really nice grain to it that seems to be very similar to what's in the car now. Alright, so let's just stop beating around the bush. We're going to take it out to the car, we're going to install it, and we're going to see how this thing fits. Alright guys, now the first thing we're going to do is compare it to the original. Here we have the original part from 1988, and as you can see, this is what starts to happen after all these years. And this one I've already repaired once, and it's still bowing out just a little bit. Really doesn't look good. As you can see here, how it doesn't line up properly with the plastic trim plate. We have the same thing going on this side. The sides of it, not too bad. My repair took really well here. But you can see it is slightly deformed here. And we'll take a look at the other side too. So this Russ's new plate should have everything lining up and looking really nice, neat, and clean. So let's just compare our colors. Now this is his dark gray here, which is it's a good match. It's not an exact match, but you also have to keep in mind that matching his upholstery covering to 40-year-old plastic that has been exposed to the elements for many, many years, it's going to be extremely difficult, as the many cars are going to have many different variations of the gray color based on how long they've been exposed to the sun. And him to match every single one to the exact color of what's in your specific car is going to be very, very difficult. So, but I see he's picked a color that is a very, very good approximation of what's supposed to be in the car. And it does look good to my eye. So what we're going to do is install it. We're going to see how the upper plate sits on it, and then we'll give our final rating on this part. All right, now removal of the trim piece is really very simple. There are 4 bolts that hold the faceplate in, and if yours hasn't separated like mine have, and like probably about 90% of them have at this point, the top plate here will have separated from the shifter surround here. So when you remove the 4 bolts, you'll be pulling off the top plate, and the shifter surround, you just pull it right off after that, as there'll be nothing else holding it in but the top plate. So to remove the 4 bolts, first thing you have to do is remove the ashtrays. My fancy little 3D printed Fiero ashtray, which is pretty cool. Ashtray number 2, which has a USB, which I installed years ago for the aftermarket radio when my original radio died. That's going to be a future project where we're going to replace this radio with one that looks factory but isn't. And here you can see 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 bolts. Now, before you remove those 4 bolts, the first thing you have to do is remove, I don't know if you guys can see it here on the back of the shifter. Let's see if I can give you guys some light. There is a small U-shaped clip right there. If you guys can see that, you'll have to remove that. And that is very easily removed by inserting a small flat bladed device and just prying it out. As you can see there. And once that is out, you can just lift the shifter right off. You can see that's a little U-shaped clip, and when you install it, you just push it back in and you're pretty much done. Okay, now we're going to remove the 4 bolts here, remove the top plate, and then we'll continue with the install. Now to remove it, you'll need a 7mm screw, a 7mm socket, as either 7mm bolts that hold this in. So let's go and remove it now. Okay. Now, as you lift off the top plate here, there's going to be a light bulb, if you still have it attached at this point, that is attached to the plate. Now you just have to give it a little twist and pull the light bulb out, and then you can just remove the entire top plate as one assembly. This is your light bulb here, and as I said, you may or may not have it depending on what's been going on inside here with your Fiero after all these years. Now we're going to remove the shifter plate, and here you have the original 1988 shifter plate, and let's go put it on the bench and we'll compare the two and see what we can see. Alright, so let's take a good look at both shifter covers.
Only one lone individual survived this ordeal, with all the other residents being killed within the pods due to
so we can get a good comparison of what the old one and the new one look like, and see if Russ's is as good a replacement as it seems. And as we're looking here, we can see there is a little bit more of a grain texture to the original. Russ's is a little smoother, but does feel so much better. And as you can see how this is all completely warped. The entire edge here. Russ's being one solid 3D printed piece, I don't think we're going to have really much of an issue with warpage in the future. And one of the issues with the original is that the vinyl they have covering doesn't wrap around that edge. So as it starts to peel back, it'll just pull right off and start to show the warpage a lot more. What Russ did was he wrapped his vinyl all the way over the edge where it mounts and tucked it underneath and glued it all down here, so that it is, I think, in my opinion, it's going to hold up better than the original. But that'll be 40 years from now when we have our long-term testing completed. So there'll be someone else doing this, because I don't think I'll be around in another 40 years. But somebody else will be able to tell you guys whether this will last as long as that. But for now, I can tell you that this looks amazing. Alright, so let's go put it in. I think we've got all our comparisons done here. We've got the leading edge here, just like it does here. So he really did a good job of duplicating the shape. And I do like the fact that he's got more of a lip here than the original did. So it's going to create a little more reinforcement and a little more solid area for the faceplate. Even here you've got more. It's about the same here and here. But I think it's going to sit a little better in the groove than it did in the original. Because in the original, as you can see, the faceplate sits on the lip of the vinyl covering. Where on Russ's, the faceplate is going to sit into the entire mounting surface. So it's going to sit flat and flush against the upper edge. At least that's what I'm thinking it's going to do. Because from what I'm seeing here, that looks like exactly how it's going to mount. Alright, so let's go put it in the car. Okay guys, here we have it. Just finished the installation, and as you can see, it really looks good in the car. Now, it is going to need a little bit of interior dressing, just put a little shine to it, make it look really nice. But overall, it feels fantastic, because it feels like a really nice leather as opposed to the plasticky feel of the original part. So it really does feel excellent. But there are a couple of things that we do have to take note of when installing this. Number one is you're going to be putting your original plate that's been sitting on another part for 40 years on top of Russ's new part. Now, Russ's new part is perfectly straight and level. Your plate will not be. This is not the fault of the part of Russ's part. It's the fault of the plate itself, which has warped over time, considering it was not sitting level on the original shifter surround. So that may, you put a little weight on it to weigh it down a little bit. It may actually work itself out. But what I find might be an even better solution, and Russ, if you're listening, it might be something you might want to 3D print, is that 2 small clips could be epoxied to the bottom of this plate here and here, so that then it would slide in and clip to the shifter surround and be held tightly downward. And then the shifter surround could just be dropped right on top. I think that would eliminate the only real issue that I see here, which is the fact that this plate doesn't sit totally flat, which again is not the fault of the part. It's the fault of a 40-year-old plate on a new part. So I'm going to actually attempt to make a small clip, 2 small clips, which I'm going to attach here and here. There's plenty of room, and the way Russ have this shaped, it seems almost like it's made for 2 small clips to be attached to hold it down. I'm going to try that, and I'll epoxy it to the bottom of this. As soon as I get a little free time to play with this little project, and I'll be back and let you guys know how it turns out. But overall, I'm going to say that if you have a warped console, this is the way to go. This is an excellent replacement for the warped console. Color is good, and I love the feel of it because it does feel like a really nice. It does feel like leather. It feels really nice, and I got to tell you, that's something that you guys know. I work for Mercedes-Benz, and as you know, some of our cars are covered head to toe in leather, and they feel amazing. And to feel something like this in a Fiero it's nice. Well, I got to tell you, it's nice. And as you can see how the part lines up against the rear of the console and the front, it does look good. Lines up nicely. Now, Russ also has available the auxiliary gauge pod cover. I will be ordering that. We'll do a review of that as soon as I get around to ordering it and getting it in. And Russ, if you're listening, this is the next part you need to make, dude. Then you can have the trifecta of all 3 parts, and we'll have our center consoles looking amazing. I would also recommend maybe the doors. Let's see what you could do with that, or the entire. This might be a lot, especially if you're 3D printing everything. But if you could replace this entire center console with your parts, they would look amazing. Because I've got to tell you, I am very, very impressed. And guys, I paid for this. This is not I am not shilling. I am not, trying to sell something I don't believe in. That's why I buy every product that I review for our cars, because I want to give you my honest opinion, and I got to tell you, I like this. And this is actually going to stay in my car. I didn't just put it in for the test. I like it so much now that it's going to stay in there. So I recommend it 100%. Well, let's say 90%. I'll let you guys know in a year or so. We'll see how it holds up. Because Russ, even though it looks fantastic, I gotta be fair, and I think it is gonna hold up beautifully. But I recommend that if you guys have a ugly looking shifter surround, get this from Russ. It looks excellent, as you can see here. All right, guys. I gotta tell you, I'm really happy with Russ's product. There will be a link to his site in the description of this video. Show you his card once again, and I really recommend you guys should give that a shot. Now, I'm gonna give you my rating of it. I gotta say that for fit and finish and fit, well, I just said fit, didn't I? It's really a great product, and I'm gonna give it a 9.5. I'm really happy with it. It looks really good in the car, and as long as its longevity is there, I gotta say that this is gonna be a great part for our cars, and I recommend it. So that's it, guys. That's the review of Russ's part, and we'll be back at some point with something else that we're gonna review, which should be a lot of fun. See you on the next one.